Good morning, Facebook, or if you're listening on our podcast, welcome. It is Monday, June 20th, just a little after 8 o'clock. I'm Lisa Bedell. Thank you for tuning in and joining us today. What is everyone talking about today? The heat, probably. It was a hot weekend. Of course, yesterday hit 101, and this morning on First News, Lydia was telling us yesterday in Phoenix it was 101, so pretty much the same. Arizona, North Dakota, except for where we were even more humid. So maybe not exactly the same. The heat wave continues though today, a couple degrees cooler, but that means we're still going to be hitting about 98 degrees and could be nearing a record. The record high was set back in 1910 and it was also 98 degrees. So another hot one, and of course, you know, when it's hot like this, there's a good chance of something being cooked up. So we're also talking about some storms. There could be some severe weather, wind, hail throughout the day. So really the perfect time. If you don't have that Storm Tracker weather app, you should really have it right now, as we will be tracking those storms as they do pop up. Probably a little bit later today. But of course, once again, excessive heat warning is going to be a hot one. So be careful if you have to be outside today. Talking about the heat, maybe it's too hot for school. At least for some schools. It actually is. Summer classes at some Grand Forks schools are actually canceled today. The Grand Forks School District posted a message to its website saying that classes at Lewis and Clark Elementary, Viking Elementary, Twining, and the middle schools not happening today because of the forecasted heat. Classes at other schools, though, and activities like summer performing arts, the Encore program will be happening as scheduled. A lot of those schools, of course, don't have AC, so it could be pretty brutal. Just check ahead to make sure. And of course, it would have been a very hot weekend to not have your AC, and that was the case for some people. We had talked about possibly seeing the rolling blackouts in Detroit Lakes today. Well, there were some power outages this weekend in Fargo and also in East Grand Forks. Crews were, right on it, working as fast as they could. There was about 1,000 customers without power for at least an hour in Fargo. It sounds like it was in the area of Fargo Davies, but they did get the power back on around 10:45 last night. And up in East Grand Forks as well, Water and Light told us that they had several clusters of outages. They were able to get the power back on around 11:30 last night, but it was hot well into the night. And I know this morning we were talking during First News 5 to 7, some areas were already sitting at like 80 degrees, so didn't really cool off much. And of course, it's just going to get much warmer as we go throughout the day today. In some other news not related to the heat, new this morning, Grand Forks police are investigating a shots fired call from over the weekend. Police were called to the 1900 block of South 12th Street near the Right Spot liquor store about 5 last night. The good news is no one was hurt. Officers did find several shell casings on the ground near those homes on 12th Street. We're working to get some more information. If you have any information on this as well, Grand Forks Police would like you to give them a call. Another one, this one in Fargo, we're still working to learn what led up to gunshots being fired at a Fargo hotel as well. This one happened Saturday night at the Travel Lodge, which is just right off of I-29 in Fargo. Happened around 11 o'clock at night on Saturday. At least one witness told us here at WDAY that they heard several gunshots in the parking lot. We know that officers were on scene investigating for at least 2 hours. We do have a message into police to get an update as far as who they're looking for, if anyone was hurt, any potential suspects. So stay with WDAY for an update on that story. Big update, we've been following this for you. The FDA has authorized COVID-19 vaccines for children under the age of 5. Those shots, they could be administered as early as today, June 20th. The CDC director says nearly 20 million children are now able to get vaccinated against COVID. And she also said that a lot of states have already started ordering doses for the more than 18 million children now eligible to receive that vaccine. And I found this interesting this morning. There's been a lot of talk about COVID long haul, having those symptoms well after, you are not really contagious after the week or 10 days. New research out of London suggests the Omicron variant is a lot less likely to cause those long-haul COVID symptoms compared to the Delta variant. So they're kind of breaking it down. Those symptoms include fatigue, brain fog, headaches, heart issues, other health problems. The researchers looked at 100,000 cases overall. They found about 4.5% of people who tested positive for Omicron had COVID symptoms that lasted a month or longer, but people with the Delta variant were more than twice as likely to face long COVID. So interesting, depending on the variant that you caught, I guess, can really affect whether you have those long haul symptoms. Okay, gas prices still very high, but there was a slight dip this weekend. Maybe you didn't notice because it was really very slight. AAA tells us the average for a gallon of unleaded gas fell below the $5 mark. The average price had been at least $5 for the past week. Of course, that was the first time on record that prices had crossed that mark. If you need to fill up, if you were out having fun over the weekend and your tank's empty, we have the average right now in North Dakota. It's about $4.77. In Minnesota, $4.75. That little dip, AAA says, is probably not going to last, but hey, we'll take any little dip that we can get, right? So we haven't talked about Bob Sagat's death for a while, but it's back in the news now. We're hearing that 2 sheriff's deputies in Florida have been disciplined for sharing information about Bob Sagat's death with the public before the family was notified. Both deputies admitted they improperly shared the information, which they do know is a violation of department policy. We don't know what the discipline is yet, but we do know who they told. One deputy, this was because of an internal investigation, one deputy who responded to the scene texted his brother about the star's death, and the brother actually posted that on Twitter. The other deputy admitted that he had texted 2 neighbors the details as well. And you might remember Sagat was on tour when he was found dead in Orlando, Florida hotel room back in January. The 65-year-old comedian and Full House star died from head trauma. Okay, today Logan is back on Hot Mic this morning. She's been running around here this morning a little bit. Of course, Hot Mic is on from 9 to 11 on WDAY Extra. You can also catch it on InForum.com. She's got a full show planned for a Monday, too. Jeff Kolpack's going to be in. He'll be talking about the U.S. Open, also talking about one of the NDSU basketball commits. Plus, if you're thinking, what's up with Carson Wentz? I haven't heard any update on him and the Washington Commanders. She has an inside source going to be calling in and updating us on that. So great show on the way. Logan's on Hot Mic, 9 to 11. You can also catch it on InForum.com, like I said, and InForum.com this morning. I thought this was great. I just spent some time in downtown Fargo over the weekend, but I didn't see this. I wasn't looking. An article in the paper today, it's John Lamb's story at InForum.com. There's some new artwork. Thanks to this new mural, Bob Dylan has set up permanent residence in downtown Fargo. And you can see the picture. The mural is on the side of the former Bison Hotel where the singer hung out back in 1959. So cool article, cool picture. Check that out at InForum.com and so much more, of course, as well. It's about 8:13 now. We're going to wrap things up. Hopefully you stay cool today. It's going to be another hot, humid, potentially dangerous day if you're spending too much time outside. So be aware of that. And remember, you can get all of the stories I just talked about, your weather, and so much more at InForum.com. You can stay connected to your community with great local news. Get your first 3 months of unlimited access. Just go to InForum.com/subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.